We might have punched a hole through the universe or something like that. Have you ever heard of deja vu?
We heard of what?
Have you ever heard of deja vu?
Deja vu?
Sounds vaguely familiar. Like maybe I've heard it before or seen it before.
I don't speak French.
All right. Well, deja vu is pretty common, actually. Deja vu occurs, or people have experienced it. Most of the world has experienced deja vu. Over 2/3 of the world population, about 70% of all people have in some form experienced deja vu. It's, when you feel like something's happened before, you're in a circumstance and it seems vaguely familiar, but you can't quite put your finger on it why it is. There's no specific reason. Deja vu literally translates in French to already seen, or it's also known as paramnesia. That's from the Greek roots para, meaning near, and mneme,
M-E-M-E.
Yes, which is the Greek root for memory.
Memory.
So this term is defined very specifically by Vernon Neppe, who is the head of the Pacific Neuropsychiatric Institute. He is one of the foremost experts in the entire world on this subject, him and Arthur Funkhauser. He's the author of several books on the subject.
I love that last name, Funkhauser.
Funkhauser? It's pretty funky.
It's a good name.
But he defines deja vu as, quote, any subjectively inappropriate impression of familiarity of a present experience with an undefined past, end quote.
That's perfect. That actually
it's
ties it up in a nice
really
bow.
specific. When you think about scientifically what he's employing each word for, it's extremely specific.
Yeah, that's amazing. Deja vu.
But the term deja vu, it was originally employed by Émile Boirac, a French psychic researcher, in his 1907 book, L'Avenir des Sciences Psychiques, or in English, The Future of Psychic Sciences.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the first recorded, printed usage of this term.
Okay.
So there are many, many subcategories of this phenomena. In fact, there's upwards of 39 plus types of deja vu. And
Is it like Eskimos describing snow?
Yep.
What's going on
That's
here?
exactly what that is.
Do they all, okay, let me guess, they all refer to specific instances?
They do. They have their own specificity for experience.
Snow in the weirdest way.
How you say? So these 39 types are specified in experiential terms such as déjà entendu, or already heard, or déjà trouvé, already met, or déjà pensé, already thought. Again, this goes on and on and on and on. But there are, like I was saying, most of the world knows this experience. It starts happening in people who are around 8 or 9 years old. Typically, you don't see deja vu in people younger than the age of 8, and it tends to occur most frequently in people in the ages between 15 and 25.
Nice.
So how does an 8-year-old process the concept of deja vu?
Most people don't know how to process the concept of deja vu. It's still, there is no known scientific evidence for what exactly is happening when you're experiencing this.
Makes sense. I already did this.
Yeah, exactly. But
at which point you're like looking at your kid like, oh no, it's starting. Like, is he crazy?
He's got the dead zone.
Right, exactly.
He's got the
dead zone.
Oh, damn, my kid's Christopher Walken.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God, that'd be sweet.
Daddy, give me
Oh my god, he's so cute.
I think I've been here before. So this leads many people to believe that it's linked to the final processes in brain development, specifically with memory. People that experience deja vu, actually, they tend to have very good memory function. So there are many different subcategories, like I said, but then when you're trying to classify, according to Arthur Funkhauser, again, one of the leading researchers in the field.
Again, love that last name.
Funkhauser. He defines them in 3 major types. And before him and Vernon Neppe were doing their research work and they're publishing their papers in the 1980s, late 70s, there was very, very little material actually done, or very, very little research work done into this field. So he defines these as, number 1, déjà vécu, which means already lived, which is very, very specific. So this is the total sensory reference that you're having in an experience.
Seems like it would be the catch-all, right? Like, I've already experienced this in totality, like this moment.
This has to do also with the hologram theory, that memories are recorded as holograms, where you only need a specific, a single detail to recall an entire experience.
Right.
Could you use a deja vu principle to explain away reincarnation or past lives?
There is a theory. It does not entirely explain why past lives would exist, but there are theories that deja vu might be broken bits of past lives, memories, surfacing in the conscious mind.
Wow.
So you might have an experience that feels familiar because it is familiar from one of your previous lives.
Interesting.
People feel like that they can predict what someone may say next, what they might do next, or what will happen in the next moment. To be clear, this is not precognition. It's because it occurs in the present moment. It is not as if you were having deja vu 2 weeks before the experience. You're having it. This is occurring as you're experiencing it.
Wouldn't it be great just one time to have, oh my God, I'm feeling deja vu. Duck! And it works.
This is what I'm talking about with deja vu. Yeah. There have been accounts of things like this where that has occurred. There's also deja senti, which means already felt, which is much more, again, esoteric. It's just the feelings. This feeling is familiar somehow. I feel like I've been at that, bar and won the high score on their quarter slot video game or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Just that feeling of triumph.
If you break my high score, so help me God, next Brad.
I feel like you've said this before.
He put ass as his initials at the top. He put ass.
Sure I did, yeah.
But
Rules. Totally rules.
And then the third type would be déjà visité, or already visited. And this is perhaps one of the most unsettling phenomena of its kind. This deals with the idea that one has an intimate knowledge of the geography of a space that one has never previously inhabited. So there was a interview I saw where the host of the show actually had this experience, and he went to a Greek ruin, and he had the feeling that he had been there before, and he knew in his mind that if he went around the back of this structure, there would be a small staircase leading up into the woods. And he went around the back, and sure enough, there was a small staircase leading up in the woods. But he had never been to this site in his entire life. Really strange.
That is strange, yeah. Was he like, oh man, this tree had the best mulberries. Oh man, I would make mulberry jam.
Could be.
What do mulberries taste like?
They're poisonous. Do not.
Oh, okay.
Listeners at home, do not.
Ooh, try them. Just for a second.
Don't listen to Sarah.
You're trying to drum up business?
Just kind of swish them around in your mouth.
Yeah.
So there's also many different experiences that are closely related to deja vu, but they are not quite the same experience. There is one known as jamais vu, which means never seen. So despite the subject's concrete knowledge that something is familiar, the situation or experience is interpreted as being brand new. So you're doing something that you would do all the time. There was an interview with Vernon Neppe where he said that a subject had told him that he got up and he was shaving in the morning, and somehow it felt like he had never done it before.
Boujade, that's a feeling that you've never experienced before.
And he knows that he shaves every day, and yet this time was different. It felt like he had never, something was very, very new about it. There's also presque vu, which is almost seen, and that's sort of the tip of the tongue when you can't think of a word. And this actually occurs in groups very, very often. It's the feeling of being on the very, very brink of recall, and you just can't.
Oh, that's the worst.
You can't remember
or you'll
that
see it
actor's name,
flash in your
can't
head.
remember. Yes,
Like it was right there.
Quincy Jones.
You're like, oh man, what was the thing? Flash.
This is closely related to the l'esprit d'escalier, which is known as the staircase wit, which is one of those things where you come up with the perfect comeback or the perfect thing to say after as you're along your way out, but you couldn't think of it at the time, even though you definitely had that capability, because obviously you came up with it later.
AKA the internet.
Mm-hmm. And then there is a scary, scary subsect that actually is tied closely to paranoid schizophrenics, and this is known as the Fragoli delusion. This is a rare disorder in which the subject feels that many or all of the people that they encounter in their everyday life are really one person in disguise by masks.
Wow.
Not crazy at all.
Not crazy at all. No, because why not?
Not crazy at all. That's a normal thing, I thought.
I haven't actually.
You're Arya Stark.
I haven't thought that, but like you haven't been like it's whatever the like scientific term for like the Truman Show effect would be. Like there's kind of a weird, like I don't know, maybe
that's a little more common than this.
That's like gang stalking.
That you are part of a show. That you are the subject.
That's like gang stalking.
Gang stalking.
Yeah, that's a real thing. We got to talk about that.
That's a totally different topic there, man. That is some creepy shit right there.
But when you're talking about the scientific causes of this, no one has concrete evidence of what it really is. There's many, many theories, though, especially with innovations in cognitive science and brain imaging. So many people think that there might be what is called a error in dual processing, and that's basically a delay in sensor input. Say that you're looking through something in your visual cortex with your eyes. Your visual cortex is located in the occipital lobe in the back of your head in the brain. But say at the same time, you're hearing something and that's being processed in a different part of the brain, and say that those signals arrive milliseconds apart. So
gotcha.
you are literally getting the same information, just slightly delayed, and therefore it seems
One of
familiar.
them feels like a memory.
Because it is familiar, because you processed it hundreds, millionths of a second earlier.
Right.
Another theory is that there is a miscommunication between the rhinal cortex, which is in charge of familiarity in the brain, and the hippocampus, which is for memory recall.
Your rhino gene. Yeah.
Rhinos
it's
and
a big
hippos.
horn. Inside the brain is this giant little rhino there.
And the little baby
Giant
hippo.
little rhino?
Giant little rhino.
A giant little rhino.
The giantest little rhino in all of Topeka. So perhaps one of the most obscure theories, and yet has been prevalent among physicists, is the multiverse parallel universe theory for
Nice.
deja vu.
Love it.
I watched an interview with a physicist earlier who explained it. Think that all of the possible realities are existing simultaneously on top of each other, in the same way that if you have a radio, you are tuned into one specific frequency, and yet in your space, all of those frequencies exist.
Right.
Your multiple you that exists in many different other universes, if they are simultaneously participating in the exact same event, there's a crossover of these multiverse, and you experience deja vu, some sort of connecting, plugging, basically you're punching a hole through all of reality and connecting with all of the other multiple yous. It might be 3, it might be 1,000, who knows? There is no proof, but guys, this could be really bad. I'm just saying that, I mean, you're really spooking me out, even though it's about something very innocuous, like a road trip to Topeka, but deja vu could be a really dangerous thing, guys.
Take it easy, Nick.
Take it easy, man. Calm
Get all
down.
worked up.
Give this guy some gravy water. Give this guy some gravy water, please.